Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundance Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and the podcast, NetsNewsNetwork.net. Appreciate you listening to us every day, Monday through Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can tell by looking at the books back there, and that's not all of them. I'm an avid reader. I love this book right here and I encourage you to go ahead and get it. It's $39, worth a lot more than 39 bucks. And you can find it by clicking on that link right there. And if you do buy the book, if you go through this link right here, you're actually helping the talk show, and we definitely appreciate you doing that as well. So go ahead and click Find This Book. It is a must read. All kinds of great information, how to make your own solar panels, how to make your own outside oven, how to have a garden, how to fish without a fishing rod. I mean, there are just all kinds of great tips and techniques in this book. So I've got another one, and also when you get this book, you'll get emails every single day. And they're not the aggravating kind. They're ones you can actually use in your life. And this one I thought was a real good one as well. And it's called the No Grid Survival Project. And they're talking about, in this particular one, and again, these are tried and proven methods, okay, in your gardening. No matter how long you've been gardening, there's always something to learn. First of all, we had a lot to learn this season, didn't we? Because we had this extremely cold, like Christmas Eve. It was extremely cold. And then not only that, we had a very late frost. And we just had a really weird summer, so we've just all been having to adjust and do the best we can with our gardens. So here's some things that are going to give you some really good ideas. And again, I encourage you to get this book. It's just so worth it in your library. So let's talk about some of the common things that you could be doing that prove to be a disaster in the garden. And we've heard Brian Brown with the County Extension Service talk about this one. And it's overwatering. So you can see what happens. You get these yellow leaves and they start turning these weird. You'll still have growth and you'll still have some fruit, but it's going to be so minimized it's not even funny. Did you know that you can actually kill more plants by overwatering than underwatering? So also overwatering can also increase harmful fungus issues, and it can actually drown your plants. So that's why I have a raised garden and raised gardens, and I also have the concrete gardens, because it's kind of our land. In fact, you need to get a soil test done, by the way. So our land, 38 acres of land, our farm, is sandy. It's very, very sandy, and when it rains a lot, I mean, it's like you've almost got quicksand. I have to wear rubber boots at the least amount of rain that happens outside. And so again, overwatering can be a huge, huge harm. So if you're running into a real wet season, I encourage you to get, and it's less weeding, more weed control and what have you, by having a raised garden. And the concrete garden, you've seen some of my videos on that. It's just been a heaven sent. I absolutely love it. If you don't, or you don't want the concrete garden and you really don't want to have a raised garden, put a lot of mulch around, the grass cuttings, hay, leaves, whatever, around those plants in the garden, and that will help too with maybe an increased amount of water that comes in. So to prevent overwatering, what you can do is test the soil by putting your fingers in it. Okay, if it feels drying, like it's drying out, then your plant does need water. Now in most climates, watering a few times a week, about an inch of water at a time, should work. And by the way, it is best, I learned this through taking the gardening classes, hydroponics and what have you, through Auburn University. But outside, it's really important you don't water your plants every single day. It's better they get a little bit of dry time. They need a little time to themselves too. So a little bit of dry time is going to help your plants as well. And by the way, it's better, a lot of people think that, and I used to do this, and I just noticed my gardening wasn't as good as it should be. I was watering every single day. The time of the day matters too, and the morning is going to be the best time to water your plants. Okay, let's talk about number 2. And number 2 is actually crowding your plants. Overcrowding leads to unhealthy plants and less production. So plants need sufficient room to grow. Their leaves shouldn't be blocked from getting sunlight. And that's what happens. If, first of all, I like everything facing the south. Okay, so I like to get that morning sun coming in. I think my plants get the most benefits from that. But if you got them too crowded and they're not getting sufficient sunlight, it's causing damage to that plant. They need room to spread their branches and their roots. Roots are really important. To solve overcrowding, follow the directions on the seed packets or your plant tags regarding spacing, and spend some time consistently thinning out your seedlings. And I do this in my greenhouse. So as soon as the summer months are over, okay, I start thinking about my winter crop, my summer crop, and for the spring of next year. So I spend a lot of time out in my greenhouse. The temperature is just right for me. You have to wear a coat sometimes out there when it's so cold. But I'm going ahead and start planting my seeds pretty early on. And it's best to go ahead and sprinkle a few. And then as they start cropping up, you got to wait and let them get strong enough. Now, if they're real spindly like, leave them in there. But as soon as they start getting a little bit of strength to that stem, you need to go ahead and take it out and transplant it and put it somewhere else. I'll be doing some videos because I'm going to be propagating a lot of my flowers this year. My lavender and sunflower seeds, you're going to watch me plant those. We're going to have a big, big sunflower garden outside, and it really attracts the bees. And also my lavender. You know, we've talked about lavender, how good it is for you as well. Okay, so let's talk about number 3 right here. So you can see this is using too much or too little mulch. You can overdo anything. And so there's somewhere right there in the middle. So in addition to suppressing competing weeds, mulch retains essential moisture. Now, insufficient mulch leads to quick evaporation of moisture. If you have too much mulch, the water won't reach the soil, so the plant roots will mostly dry out and they'll die. So you need to spread your mulch out without smothering the plants to make sure you allow room for the water and for it to go down to the roots. That's another extremely thing. Now look at that pretty mulch right there. But I'll have to tell you, using the grass cuttings helps mine. And making my own compost, all of that stuff is really going to save you a lot of money. You saw that real pretty, and I'll show you again the picture, that real pretty rich mulch right there. Okay, I was spending a lot of money every year buying this stuff. And I'm talking about a couple $300 a year when I started making my own compost. And it's much better for your plants. And another thing is that red doesn't stay red all year. It's only a few months. The sun is going to dry it out, and you're going to use the pretty red. So you're constantly putting mulch around it. And again, that can create disease for your plants. Let's talk about number 4, and this is extremely important as well. Failure to plan. Failure to plan on everything. We own a business. We own several businesses. And if I don't plan my steps, I'm going to mess up, okay? I've got to have time, and I've got to think. Got to take some time off. Phil and I like to take off just for some recycle time. And maybe go out of town if it's just for the weekend, to go somewhere and just replan everything we're doing. And you'll find you gain a lot of energy from that. And it's well worth it. And by the way, write it off on your taxes as well. We're all looking for ways to do that. Now, failure to plan, it's always good advice to be realistic in the number of vegetables that are planted each year. Okay, I'm bad at overdoing it. The goal of gardening is to be a positive experience. You certainly don't want to get worn out or harvest vegetables that you don't enjoy eating. Like, I love squash. I mean, I could eat squash every day. I love putting it in the microwave, put a little bit of olive oil on it. It's really good for you. But Phil doesn't, so there's no point in me having 10 rows of squash. There's just no point. 1 or 2 squash plants is going to be plenty. And I'm going to tell you, you can grow squash, you can't grow anything else. Okay, let's talk about number 5, and this is not having suitable fencing. You're going to have groundhogs, you're going to have rabbits, deer. We're lucky not to have the deer here because of the fenced-in yard, so that kind of helps ward that out. But they'll be attracted to your plants, so you've got to have a good sturdy fence. Depending on the animals that live in your area, you can install a fence that will do the jobs. And sometimes angling the top part of the fence, burying a portion of the fence, and even having a double fence will be enough to keep those little pests away. While a sturdy fence is indispensable for yielding your vegetable garden against these little nasty critters, you don't. Do you know why you don't want to ever put a fall fence around your house? So why wouldn't you want a tall fence around your house? Let's go ahead and click that and see what that means. Okay, so I wouldn't want to have it. Okay. Oh, I see. Not a tall fence around your house. Okay. I totally get it. Okay, we're going to talk about that next time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're about to have to go into a commercial break in just a few minutes. Okay, let's talk about number 6 right here. Okay, this is about natural fertilizers. If you're not using natural fertilizers, you're missing out. First of all, you're going to save a ton of money. Since soil is the most important element of your garden, you need to find a quality natural fertilizer to use. There are natural ingredients that make your own fertilizer at most local feed companies. Now, using chemical solutions for plant pest results in ingesting pesticides through your consumed produce. And I don't want that to happen to you. Okay, causing possible health issues. Now, just think, natural fertilizer yields better tasting and better quality food, and it also is a better you. Okay, and I'm going to keep you around a really long time. I feel healthier. Like, there was a time I would buy all of my produce. We were living in Charlotte. I didn't have much of a garden then. And we had restrictions on what you could grow and that kind of thing with the homeowners association. By the way, I never suggest, if you want to do anything, to ever live where there are home association fees. I'll get started on that another time, why you don't want to do that. Try your natural fertilizers. First of all, you probably couldn't be able to have a compost pile, so you could let that go. You can forget that part. But I like my own fertilizers. Again, grass cuttings, we had that in another show a little bit earlier, how amazing that is. Let's go to number 7, and then let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break after this one. If you plant your seeds too late, we've all done that before. The winter season is a great time to look through seed catalogs, plan. Again, you're going with the planning. Now, when ordering, allow enough time for the seeds to sprout for 6 to 8 weeks before you plant them. That's why I got that greenhouse out there. By the way, I have my own seeds. I collect my own seeds every single year. It's rare that I buy seeds. Consider using grow lights and seed trays with warmers if you have a greenhouse. That's a wonderful way to start those seeds before the planting season. Keep your potatoes, like if you've bought potatoes, I say you can't do this from grocery store potatoes, but you can. So if you buy potatoes from the grocery store and they start sprouting before you start eating them, and you don't throw them away, okay, save those. You can put those in a big pot and you'll grow some potatoes your own. I mean, that is just, it's an absolutely amazing thing to do. Okay, that's number 8. So I want to show you, that's picture number 4. Okay, look at that little sprout coming up. Is that the beautiful thing, especially when you've been inside the winter all winter long and you haven't seen anything green? Get a hydroponic system, get a greenhouse, but that won't cost much, and this will just be an awesome thing that you can do. Now, let me tell you something else. If you don't have a greenhouse, it's not all lost. You want to find a south-facing window. If you've got a big one like sliding glass doors like we do, I can actually start my sprouting inside without a greenhouse if I wanted to. And then start your sprouts. And another thing you want to do, like I did with my beans and my peanuts, I went on ahead and got mine, put them in a paper towel, started my own little greenhouse, just by using, those throwaway items that you can get, like when you go out to carry out food, like you go to a restaurant, you don't eat all of your food, you want to carry it out. Sometimes they give you this really, really neat, it's a plastic bottom and a plastic top that's see-through. And that's how I sprouted every single one of my beans and the peanuts. Can't wait till you see what happens out of that. Let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows, regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on ISC Radio. Let's go ahead and get digging a little bit more. And this is some reasons things that you can start about thinking about for your garden for next year. I've already started on fall garden. I can hardly wait to see how that turns out. So I've got some beans that I've got planted out there, and also some greens. This is the time to plant your kale. And your kale will do amazing in the winter months. And I love salad made out of kale too. Kale chips, you can have all kinds of stuff. So you're getting a little bit of that green just as close to Christmas as you can. Then we'll start planting the garden for next year. Okay, now not purchasing quality plants. And I did have a picture of that. That's a quality plant right there. So early in planting, make sure you choose a reliable nursery, okay? I like being my own nursery, but if you want to buy from nursery, make sure they're reliable folks and they have healthy plants. Boosting success rates. Now, quality might demand a little bit higher price, but the results will justify it. Baker Farms, you want to check them out with my really good friend, Miss Baker, and she's out there in Mentone. I'll make sure that I put her telephone number down also so that you can see that. But make sure you check Cheryl Baker out. Okay, number 10, and that's not planting flowers to attract pollinators. And let's see, it's going to be number 5. So there we go. Oh my goodness, I love my bees. I've got my honeybees, and I absolutely love them. Now, some plants are self-pollinated, but most edible plants need to be pollinated to produce your fruits and your seeds. Now, these plants need butterflies, wasps. I know I don't like wasps, but I do like them for the garden. Beetles, flies, and bees to carry the pollen from plant to plant. Now, attract creatures by planting pollinator-friendly plants like lavender, your bee balm, and herbs like oregano. Boy, do they not love herbs. Fennel, dill, and thyme. Your garden and you will definitely appreciate that. Make sure you don't forget those pollinators, okay? Now, number 11, and that's adding potting soil or peat moss to your planting holes. So let's talk about that for a minute. Adding potting soil or your peat moss is not recommended when planting your plants. This may lead to drainage problems and confining the plant's roots to the hole instead of allowing them to spread out into the surrounding ground. Now, the stalk of the plant will be weaker. To prevent this, by digging a hole 2 to 3 times wider than the plant and fill it with only the soil that you removed from the ground to ensure plant strength in native soil. That is so, so important that you do that. And let's dig just a little bit. I didn't really mean for that to come out, but I'm glad it did. But dig a little bit more, okay? So you've got your fertilizer and all those kinds of great things you put in that hole. Make sure you have a little pile of dirt. You don't have to put much now, but just a little bit of native soil. You've got to have that in your plants. You'll see a difference, and I just did a little test just to see if this really worked, okay? Because I'd heard about it, and then we touched on it when I took my classes through Auburn. So I had 2 different kinds of beans, or actually it's the same plant. So I had some pintos, okay? So I went on ahead and put the fertilizer, what have you, then I put the dirt around plant A. Plant B, I put fertilizer, but then I got some of the native soil and put it in there. I did see a huge difference in production. The beans that I planted were much bigger by having a little bit of that native soil around there. See, a lot of folks go ahead and buy the soil and bring it in, what have you, and then they wonder why the garden is not good. That's why. With some of that, bring some in, okay, because you got to have that good nutrient. But then you want to get some of that native soil. And you want to sprinkle it too, by the way. Now, mine is real sandy-like. That's why I couldn't plant just on sand, okay? It wouldn't work. So I get some of my native, and I put that around there as well. So go native. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, number 12. When you're not spending any time in your designing space, let's go ahead and get with number 7 on that one right there. So take a look at that. Now, this is a well planned out garden. You can draw it off. All you need is a sheet of paper and a pencil. And you can do it, and you can make a garden just as good as this one right here. Now, there's a lot of considerations that you want to take into account before planting that garden. Some of these involve pathways you got to be able to get through. You want to be able to get that If you need a tiller to go in, in between the areas, you need a place big enough, wide enough for the wheelbarrow to get through. So in case you have to do some some weeding, you got to make sure that you do that. So again, and make sure you've got a good water source. We haven't had much of a drought this year, but we have had summers where there was just no rain coming in. About 5 summers ago, I believe it was, 4 or 5 summers, a lot of folks lost their fruit trees. So when Phil planted our fruit trees, we remembered that. And so we made sure that we had a good water source with a good hose pipe out there that can go ahead and water those trees, just in case it needs that. Now, if you buy this book that I was telling you about, and let's go ahead and get back to the book again, it's this one right here. It's the No Grid Survival Projects book. They'll give you all kinds of outlines as well for your garden in your garden area. Make sure you pick that up. It's only $39. I love it. This is one of my resources to everything, whether it's gardening or just little projects around the house. I want to make a solar panel, so I saw directions in there on how to do that. Okay, now number 13 is not staggering your harvest time. That's something else that's super important. So strategic planning with harvest times, planting vegetables that mature at different times, helps you to have more variety of vegetables over an extended time. And that's another thing, if you work like I do, we own businesses, so I've got to have some stagger time, especially because canning time. So I don't want all of my green beans coming at the very same time all of my tomatoes are coming in, or I'm not going to get any rest whatsoever. You know what? I'm going to have to do it if I don't get enough rest. So some vegetables grow better in early summer when the temperature is soar, and then some plants need to be planted a little bit later. Okay, so some other vegetables will only produce for a limited time and can be sown in staggering planting. This way your garden spacing is maximized, and you can look forward to eating scrumptious vegetables for a long period of time. Now another thing, you need to use your resource that you have in your particular county, because this is your extension service. The extension service is awesome. They'll give you ideas on planting when you need to. Alabama and North Carolina are two different. It's such a broad area. Like North Alabama, planting times will vary different from South Alabama. Same with North Carolina, because you got the mountains on one side, then you got the beach on other sides. Just like we have the mountains up here in North Alabama and then the beach in South Alabama. So you need to find your county extension service. It's free advice for you. There's some things you can pay for. They'll give you advice also on canning and how you need to do that. Did you know your pressure cooker, when you're planting when you're actually canning the remnants from your garden, it's going to be different times whether you live in the mountains or whether you live at the beach. So it's really important you go with your county. Wherever you live in the United States, you need to go to your county extension office. Okay, let's go into, which leads into number 14, not checking your hardiness zone. You can do that through your extension service, okay? Make sure you do that. Tending your garden. Now, you succeeded in getting your garden planted, but don't forget your garden needs routine maintenance. Okay, the plants need to be watered. You need to stake them from time to time when they start growing, and they can grow in one day. They can shoot up several inches. So I like to go out and take a little look every single morning in mine. Now, the plants need to be watered, staked, harvested to prevent your vegetables from going to waste. You need to spend time in the garden on routine chores. And then when you reap the rewards, not only a bountiful harvest, but you'll also have confidence in gardening, which will inspire you into next year's garden. I'm still gathering stuff for the garden, but you know what? I can hardly wait until next year. So make sure that you're garden happy, and also make sure you buy this book. I have this for everything, not only gardening, but in case something were to happen to the power grid, you've got some ideas right here in this book. Okay? All right. Thank you again so much for watching.